was my custom on the retreat to walk alongside the cannon, and I would pat the cannon as I would walk, absorbed in thought, and I couldn't help but notice the tracks in front of me. The wheels of the wagons, the hoofprints of the horses, and the footprints of the men. Very often shod, but very often, like as not, unshod. Now, cold goes through leather like that, and when leather becomes completely saturated, as it did in inclement weather, much like we had today, leather, if it's not treated immediately, becomes very dry and brittle, and it begins to crack and fall away. And the men would try to tie the rags or the scraps of leather on their feet with rags, but ultimately that too would fall away. And then we'd be looking at footprints in the snow and the muck and the mire. And then, because skin is nothing more than leather, that too would begin to crack and fall away. And then we would be looking at bloody footprints in the snow and the muck and the mire. And we saw it all throughout the war. We saw it in the retreat through New Jersey. We saw it here at Valley Forge. We saw it in Morristown. Men give me some credit for genius. All the genius I have lies in this. When I have a subject in hand, I study it profoundly. Day and night it is before me. I study it to its very depths. Then the results of my reflection, some men are pleased to call the fruit of genius. It is not. It is the fruit of labor and thought. And when I plumb this problem to its depths, the problem was the form of government we had at the time. The Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation was just a legislature. There was no executive, there was no judiciary, a legislature that did not even have the power to collect its own taxes. Taxes in those days were all collected by the individual states and then passed on to the federal authority. Well, I suppose you know how that worked. The states would collect the taxes, they would use what they needed, and then before sending it on to the federal government, they would look about and say, oh, you know, there's a bridge that needs mending here, and the streets need recobbling, the ports are a mess. Well, by the time the states had done with it, there was rarely anything left to pass on to the federal government. Besides, the Articles of Confederation made each state completely equal. One vote apiece. As a consequence, nothing ever got done.